This is the Private Officer Beat Radio with Rick McCann at the microphone. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's radio show, the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International. Now, today we have, as always, a lot of important information to share with you, including the latest quarterly Statistical Security Officer report. We're going to delve into that on today's radio program. We have also finished a three-part series with Time Magazine, and I want to dig into that a little bit as well and explain both the positive and the negative aspects of that storyline. And of course, we have a lot of breaking news today, and we want to talk about how you can get involved. And another aspect of the show today is a little less exciting, and that is the decreased level of involvement in private security's own profession. And some recent news articles has brought that to light again, and we are seeing, even here at our association, for as much as we do, the return is, it almost makes it seem not worth it. A lot of effort being put out, a lot of people reading the news, a lot of people taking advantage of listening to the training, the free training, the radio shows, and so forth, but that's about the end of their participation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today in the program. One of the things that we're seeing, and in my conversations with attorneys, with reporters, with those in law enforcement and the security professions, is that the seriousness, the level of intensity in the private security business has gone up, I would say 100-fold in the last 10 years, and yet it's not taken any more serious by the employer, the employee, or the client. We talked, the reporters and I, over the last probably 6 months during all of these interviews about the lack of concern by employers over the security and well-being of their employees, and the lack of concern even from those working in the security field. And as our most recently released quarterly statistical data showed this past weekend, it's not ending well for the security officer, and it's not ending well for the people that they come into contact with. And I, quite frankly, don't know what to do about that. I know it's not going to change, except for to get worse. And I don't know. We need to come together as a true profession, and I'm afraid that we're not. So we have a lot of positives today as well in the radio show. We're going to highlight those. One of the great facts is that the Good That We Do episodes that we've been putting out for 2 or 3 months are getting a lot of great feedback. And a lot of people are seeing that publicly. A lot of people pick that up in their social media. Of course, our team here, they use keywords and tags and so forth so that people searching for those keywords, our items, our news stories, our social media, all of that comes up. So that's been very, very helpful. Remember, you can contact us 24 hours a day, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. You can also become a member. Right now, we need you, if you're not a member already, to go to privateofficer.org and sign up right there on the front page to be a member. And we've been keeping the membership, the lifetime membership, down to $99, just so that people can join up and not spend a lot of money. We know security officers don't get paid a lot of money. We know that our frontline protectors, even in law enforcement, fire service, and EMS, are not being paid what they're worth. And so we're keeping that price down low. We could definitely sell it for several hundred or even as much as $500 for a lifetime membership, just like many other associations are doing. But we know who our audience is. We know who it is that we want to join. So please go to privateofficer.org, become a member today. You're going to get about 50 member benefits. You're going to get 100% support. You're going to get services, free training, discounts on auto rental, hotel rental, equipment, and so much more. And if you have any questions about the membership, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. That is your point of contact, POC, for anything, really. We're going to take a quick break. When I come back, I want to talk a little bit about the statistical data report, and then I also want to follow up on the conversations that I've been having with reporters and even attorneys, and really have a lot more to talk about, and of course all that breaking news, and as well as tell you what's coming up, what's going to be available to you, but you have to participate. You have to be willing to be, part of the changes in private security. You're listening to the Frontline, the voice of the Frontline Protector, right here on the Private Officer Beat Radio.
In a minute, I'm going to drown in this pool, surrounded by friends and relatives. That's because Dad thinks Mom is watching me, and Mom thinks Dad is. But actually, nobody is watching me. And you rarely make a sound when you're struggling the most.
Don't assume someone else is watching. Become a water watchdog at abbyshope.org.
My sister Katie and I are bargain hunters.
But my sister Kelly showed me an article that made me change a really bad habit. I used to buy bargain knockoffs on the street.
You mean counterfeit merchandise?
And this can lead to more Americans losing their jobs.
So, no more buying fakes, right?
Right, just honest bargain hunting.
Counterfeits hurt, but you have the power to stop them. Go to www.ncpc.org/getreal. Brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council and the Bureau of Justice Assistance, U.S. Department of Justice.
Are you looking for the finest private security officer training in the Charlotte metropolitan area? Do you need PPS qualifications in armed or unarmed training? Or maybe you're over there across the line in South Carolina and you need the SLED training. Well, we've got the right training at the right time for you. Premier Training Academy, located at 5624 Executive Center Drive, Suite 142 in metropolitan Charlotte, North Carolina. Give them a call today, 704-806-4933. They also offer firearms training, personal protection, first aid and CPR, and so much more. Call John at 704-806-4933. By now you probably have heard about another mass shooting, an active shooting just outside of Dallas, Texas, occurring on Saturday in Allen, Texas, a suburb of Texas, Dallas, Texas, and one that most people there consider to be safe. 9 people, including the suspect, were killed at the area outlet mall, according to authorities. At least 6 others are in critical condition. Now, we learned late Saturday that an unarmed security officer on duty was one that was gunned down and murdered. But we did not release that information immediately because we wanted to confirm some of those details, and we were able to do that by early Sunday morning. It is outrageous that these shootings continue, but what's even more outrageous to me is that these shootings continue to kill not only the general public, but private security put there to protect life and property and unable to do their job to the degree that they should be able to. And I am outraged every time that one of these shootings occur, because we have people in place. We have people that are hired to protect the public. We have people that should be able to engage these criminals, these armed criminals. But unfortunately, they themselves have to run and hide. And to me, it makes no common sense whatsoever. Time and time and time and time again, security is on the property when these shootings go down, whether it be at a school, a business, a mall, a hospital, and yet they cannot respond adequately. They cannot stop the threat. They can't even protect themselves. Christian McCord, a 20-year-old unarmed security officer, is the latest security person who was shot and killed in the middle of a violent crime and could not even protect himself, let alone anyone else. Police responded to the Allen Premium Outlet Saturday in the early afternoon hour and found a complete massacre, one detective describing it as a bloodbath. Sadly, 8 people were killed, including that 20-year-old security officer. The person responsible was then confronted by law enforcement who just happened to be close by when the call went out. And they immediately confronted and eliminated that threat.
Security, all stations.
It is no doubt whatsoever that had police not responded as quickly as they did, that more people would be dead today. The security officer, the 20-year-old security officer, had just recently taken the job. It doesn't really say in all of the research and news articles that we've read in the last 36 hours. It doesn't really say how long he's been working there. It was recently. But I'm sure that when he became aware of an active shooter on the premises, I'm sure when he heard gunshots, I'm sure when he heard people screaming, that he wanted to do something about it. I remember a similar situation a couple of years ago in Philadelphia, an active shooter at a work site. It was a factory. and the security officers were unarmed and unable to address the shooting. A former employer stormed the factory, the job site, killing some of his former co-workers, management personnel. And the two unarmed security officers literally hid in a cabinet under, some type of storage cabinet. I don't understand, in this day and time, putting unarmed security officers any place, really. Definitely not where they're going to address the public. Definitely not where they're going to interact with armed suspects, fugitives, robbery suspects, shootings. No, it doesn't make sense. A vigil for LaCour, the security officer, and the other 7 slain victims was held last night. And I wish we had members in Dallas available to go over there, because it wasn't very far, but unfortunately no one responded. No one was able to represent Private Officer International. What do we do? How do we overcome the fact? And I hate to keep saying this, but I just told the reporter last week with Times Magazine the same thing. Many security officers are put to slaughter because they are out in dangerous areas, dangerous environments, unarmed, untrained, lack of experience, lack of knowledge of what to do, how to respond, how to keep themselves or others safe, no backup, no two-way radio, no nothing. And I am afraid, this is what I told the reporter, that we will see many other security personnel killed. Lambs to the slaughter. We're only putting our employees there to be victims. And it's senseless. We're going to take another quick break. Keep that family in your prayers and thoughts. If you're in the Dallas, Fort Worth, Mesquite area, yes, I know it very well. Been there many, many times. Please check your local newspapers, local media, and please go to the funeral. Go to the showing. Go to whatever. Make your presence known. If you need further details, contact helpdesk at privateofficer.com.
So you think you can beat a train? Well, think again. Even at low speeds, trains can cause serious injuries or death. You must slow down and yield when you approach all railroad crossings. If a train is approaching, always stop behind the solid white line, or at least 15 feet from the crossing. Never stop on the tracks. It's the law, and it can save your life. Proceed only when the train has cleared the area and no other trains are approaching. Please be safe at all railroad crossings. And remember, never stop on the tracks.
A car is basically like driving a weapon. My friend died because someone made a bad driving decision.
My uncle died because someone didn't think before they got behind the wheel.
You let down your parents and your loved ones. You could lose your friends. Parents don't like their kids hanging out with criminals.
Drug driving is just as bad as drunk driving.
A recent law enforcement bulletin announces a new dangerous drug, a flesh-eating drug called Trank. This is currently being tracked by local, state, and federal law enforcement. It's an animal tranquilizer that can cause human tissue to rot and lead to amputation. Amid troubling signs nationwide, this dangerous sedative, known as Trank, has spread even further into the local street drug supply, according to the bulletin. An LA Times report also says that the LA County Sheriff's Department has launched their own in-house pilot program to better document the drug's presence in L.A. County. This drug is an animal tranquilizer that began appearing several years ago in illicit pills and powders on the East Coast. Now, this is not the first time I've heard of this. It was widely used in the metro New York, Jersey area and along the East Coast. It's been linked to deaths across the country and can cause human tissue rot, leaving ulcers with grisly wounds that sometimes lead to amputations. This amidst the growing concerns for fentanyl, which is a deadly, potent, powerful drug when used in the medical profession can definitely help in pain management. According to the police bulletin, news of the drug's increased use spreading from the East Coast to the West Coast was well documented in early March. According to the LA Times, police on both coasts began detecting its use about 4 years ago, never really knowing the complete devastation that this drug can cause. In mid-April, crime lab analysts began making note of any preliminary signs of the drug spotted while testing samples of confiscated drugs. Now, this drug is topping the list of the most dangerous drugs right along fentanyl. There are a lot of different drugs out there that law enforcement and private security both come into contact with. And what really upsets, disturbs, and concerns me is that we are out there dealing with the same people many times that law enforcement is dealing with, and yet without the training, without the proper PPE, without the, anything at all. We're fighting a battle that we cannot win. Please go online and get more information about this very dangerous drug. This is not something to play with.
Distracted driving is dangerous, but some people just can't seem to help themselves. There's the steering wheel propper, the sneaker peeker, the fast roller, the night lighter. And it's not long until they become the fender benderer, the got a ticketer, the veering off the road, the driver who kills someone. Enough with the phones already. Just put them down.
America isn't the land of promise. It's a place where every day is a struggle. Because today in America, 1 in 6 children lives below the poverty line. For these children, living in poverty means going without medicine, going without food, going without a warm home, or even a roof over your head. And that's life for nearly 13 million children of all races, all across America. Where will you draw the line and get involved? You can help these children and their families find a way out of poverty for good. And you can make a difference in more ways than you think. Will you help? Go to povertyusa.org today. Because 1 in 6 children in poverty is one too many. A message from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. Whether you're looking for the top quality protective armor or protective clothing, stab-resistant vests or gloves, contact my friend Ben over at Body Armor USA. Give him a call, 516 area code 817-1666. Again, that's area code 516-817-1666. Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. No doubt about it. Recently, our office sent out the current updated statistical data report. for the first quarter of 2023. Looking at the numbers from top to bottom, none of them look very good. And if you haven't received the report, go to privateofficer.org and sign up for the news alerts. A box will drop down. You can fill out your emailing address and so forth. Or you can contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com and we'll send that to you. First of all, the number of security officer deaths, as was reported by the media, was 29. And of those 29, about 83% were homicides. First of all, as we have collected the data for many, many years, we have seen that these numbers are not as accurate as we would like for them to be because many are not reported by the media or the employer, and there's no one entity, no one state or federal government that puts out a report on security officer deaths. It's collected, and oftentimes the information is mislabeled, put under other categories such as labor, and really not identified as security officer deaths. So 29 is pretty high, but we have seen it higher, and we expect these numbers to substantially increase as the year progresses and as security fills in more and more for law enforcement. Now, we did have at least one reportable suicide of an on-duty security officer, and the media reported that. We have heard of several other suicides, but we have never been able to get anyone to verify it. And that's very, very difficult and problematic for both POI and the security industry. But here's a number that jumps out at us. At least 68 security officers were shot on duty in the last 4 months, and those are reported shootings, but I'm sure that there's been even more than that. Every year, hundreds of security officers are shot, many confronting someone breaking the law, many unarmed. There was 18 security officers stabbed. This was kind of shocking to us. Those numbers have not been that high in recent years. That's more of an annual number instead of just a quarterly number. So it shows me that more people are carrying knives or using them. And even with body armor, it doesn't always protect you. Knives normally can cut through most body armor unless you have a ballistic plate behind the body armor. And so this was shocking to us, and I'm not sure how to address that in the defensive aspect. Obviously, if the security officer is unarmed, then he can't defend himself against that bladed instrument. At least 587 security officer assaults during the last 4 months. And again, I would say it was probably more like 1,087 or more, because many assaults on security personnel don't get reported. The police are not called. If someone pushes you, that's an assault. If someone slaps you, punches you, pushes you to the ground, that's an assault. But many times security officers don't report that, especially when the person flees or leaves the property. So these are known and confirmed assaults, police reports filed, arrests made, or some other information that verifies that an assault took place. But like I said, many, many simple assaults do not get reported. And even aggravated assaults, those assaults that weapons were involved do not get picked up by the media, and therefore we don't have an accurate way to verify, report, or substantiate that aggravated assault. Fatal shootings by security every year, 75, 100, 150 security officers fatally and mortally wound a person, sometimes in an attack on themselves, sometimes to prevent that person from injuring someone else, and sometimes because the security officer miscalculated the level of force that should be used. This is an item brought up by all of the media I've talked to over the last, almost 20 some odd years. And as security officers become more involved in the enforcement of not only the rules of the property, but the law, as more security officers are armed, as security officers are becoming more enforcers than observe and report, we're going to see more use of force incidents against the security officer and by the security officer. Security-involved shootings, at least 147 security officer incidents where shootings occurred. 5 security officers were carjacked. And those numbers, too, have fluctuated quite a bit over the last 10 or so years. Many security officers sit in their car, personal vehicle, and sometimes a company vehicle. And that makes them easy targets for carjacking. 4 security officers that we know of were disarmed. That, too, probably was substantially greater, but these are the cases reported by the media. 87 security officers at least were arrested, some for murder, some for aggravated assault, theft, sexual assault. 2 were arrested for kidnapping. 1 held the person for more than 24 hours. Again, we're seeing many more security officers arrested for crimes just because they are put in place with very little background check, very little supervision. I myself can't understand. I just don't understand how security companies can put people out there to work without anyone over them, without any overwatch, any supervision. I don't care if you work at McDonald's or Walmart or you're a construction laborer. There's people on the job who's supervising you, people on the job who is managing you, people on the job ensuring that you're doing your job. And yet in the private security industry, we often put 1, 2, 3, 4 people out on a post, out on a job assignment with no oversight, no overwatch, nobody checking. I've said this 1,000 times before. In the day when I first began security, we had field supervisors, and they were roamed between the accounts. Sometimes they would do some training. Sometimes they were just there to ensure that you're in full uniform. Sometimes they are there to make sure you're not sleeping. But overall, they're making sure that you are on the job and doing what you're supposed to do. But not today. It's a level of management and supervision that many security companies have done away with. Cost-cutting feature, cost-cutting aspect, but it's harmful. What if the security officer is laying there gravely injured? What if he's dead for hours and hours and hours and hours until an employee of the business comes in to work and finds them? And it happens more often than you can think. And if there was a field supervisor, they would see it. They would find it. They may be able to help that security officer and get them EMS before they succumb to injuries. There's no way to manage it from afar. There's no way to manage it by automated phone call. Check in, push 1 if you're there, push, it doesn't work that way. These numbers are, I believe, less than what they actually are. What we're able to detect and report is oftentimes just a small fraction of what's really happening out there. One of the things I've said, and one of the things that I love about law enforcement and the fire service EMS, they have to report every injury, every statistical piece of data is collected and reported for legal issues, liability issues, statistical issues and data, a way to use that data to make the profession better. But unfortunately, in the security business, that's not so. That's not true. That's not happening. And it has to be. It has to change. We need to want to know. I don't know how many times I get emails from people, and our office get email from, oh, you send out too much news. You report too many things. You report things that make the security business look bad. We have to report everything. We should report everything. You should want to know everything. It's one thing to say, well, we need to shine the light on all the good that security does, and we do here at POI more than anyone that I know, but we also have to fix the problems in the profession, and that's one of the areas that we don't want to do. We want to take all the credit for the good things, but we don't want to fix the bad things. And that, my friend, is a problem. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a lot more to today's radio program. If you got any information that you'd like to share with us, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. You are listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector here on the Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC. We'll be right back.
Cracking down on seatbelt violations. Buckle up day and night or expect a ticket. It doesn't matter who you are or where you live, they'll be on the lookout. Cops write tickets to save lives. Click it or ticket.
There was the explosion, and I remember just opening my eyes, and it got both of my legs. Had surgery after surgery, and what's going to happen next? The Wounded Warrior Project said, look, brother, everything's going to be okay. 3 months from now, 4 months from now, a year from now, you'll be fine. I don't know if I would be as well adjusted as I am now if it wasn't for them.
To learn more, call 1-877-832-6997 or visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
In the news today, 4 security officers at a Vicksburg, Mississippi bar has been shot over the weekend. A confrontation and fight resulting at this club called Jocks Sports Bar. Law enforcement there say they are familiar with this location, having been called there a number of times. Now, the security officers, who are unidentified, were taken both by ambulance and by personal vehicles to local hospitals. According to the police chief, the security officers have non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still investigating and have not announced any charges. Bondsmen in Nashville chasing a suspect through a private charter school last week caused quite a disturbance. Valor Collegiate Academies in Nashville, a charter school, notified police that armed men was chasing someone through their campus. Police arrived and found out that they were bail bondsmen who had spotted a man walking along the street near the school, and when they went out to contact him, he began running onto the school property. Now, Valor and Nashville police have given notice to the bondsmen that if they ever come back on the property, that they will face criminal charges. In Moultrie, Georgia, a small community The GBI, which is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, say 4 people are dead, 2 at a McDonald's. The suspect killed his mother, grandmother, and then went to a former place of business and shot and killed the manager and another co-worker. Contavious White was identified as the shooter, but he committed suicide before police could move in and make an arrest. The DEA announced that more than 3,000 people were arrested during a drug sweep. The DEA said on Friday that the result of a special operation targeting fentanyl and meth tracked dozens and dozens of suspects and 2 gangs, the Sonora and the Jalisco cartels. The operation, called Last Mile, was a year-long event which led to 3,337 people being arrested, $44 million in fentanyl, 44 million fentanyl pills were confiscated, more than 6,500 pounds of fentanyl powder, and more than 91,000 pounds of meth, 8,497 illegal firearms, and more than $100 million was confiscated. 2 Chicago men have been arrested in a $1.1 million armored truck robbery, and police say it's all thanks to Apple AirTag. Apple AirTags are GPS little buttons that you can drop into your briefcase, put it in your vehicle, put it any place, and it will track that item. 2 Brink security officers were in the parking lot of Jewel Osco, which is a grocery store, doing a pickup when the armed men wearing masks robbed them. According to police, they took well over $300,000, but because of these GPS tags being in the money bags, police were able to make the arrest. 1 man is dead after shooting an armored car security officer in Milwaukee. Police there say that a man attempting to rob the armored car shot one of the security officers, and the second security officer was able to shoot and kill the suspect. This happened at the North Shore Bank at 5817 West Forest Home Avenue. Police said the suspect, whose name has not been released just yet, was 47. The security officer who shot the man was 36, and the other security officer who had been shot, 25, but police are not releasing their names. Police said the incident is being reviewed by the Milwaukee County Attorney's Office, but the shooting appears to be self-defense. In Houston, a man who shot and killed a security officer has been sentenced to 49 years in prison. Jeremy Wayne Miller, 32, pled guilty to not 1 but 2 murder charges, including the murder of a former friend. The man will serve at least 49 years in prison. He faced other charges, but those were dismissed. A security officer is suing the U.S. Department of State. Devin Brooks said when he was hired at the West Virginia office, he was told that he could have his beard. According to Brooks, once he got hired, he was told he had to shave it. He told his supervisors that it was part of his Islamic faith to have it, but they require that he shave it. He's now suing for discrimination. A security officer has been awarded, rewarded, and recognized in Mesa, Arizona. Pay It Forward Award was given to Benjamin Salas, a security officer at Fry's Food Store. Locals say he's a favorite, someone that they look forward to seeing when they go shopping. He will no doubt make our segment next week, The Good That We Do, and we'll be reaching out to him with our own award. A police impersonator threatened to shoot a hospital security officer in Annapolis, Maryland. This happened on Tuesday of last week. Officers responded, identified the suspect as 64-year-old Glenn Anthony Atkins. He threatened the security officers at the hospital, saying that he was a federal agent with the ATF. According to court records, he was arrested and charged with criminal impersonation and trespassing. He's also been charged with being under the influence of alcohol or drugs and possession of a handgun. A Rochester, New York woman pleads guilty to assaulting a security officer and pinning him to a building with her vehicle. The security officer was working for a company called 4S Security. Miriam Abdu-Ajina, 25, pled guilty to criminal vehicle operation causing bodily harm and fifth-degree assault. This occurred back in February. 2 additional charges of DWI and simple assault was dismissed. According to the court records, Rochester police responded to 3160 Northeast Drive. A security officer there said a confrontation had occurred, and that's when the woman got into her car and hit the security officer, pinning him against a building. 2 security officers were injured while working on the set of the NBC Chicago Fire Show. Police there say 2 teenagers on 4-wheelers crashed into the set. Police say the 2 security officers were able to get out of the way from serious harm, but they were injured and hospitalized with non-threatening injuries. Their names were not released. Those on the set said they were thankful that security did survive this horrible scene. This was no movie. This was no TV show. This was reality, said one star on the show. Video from Albuquerque, New Mexico, making its round on social media, shows a security officer pointing a gun at a man. At first sight, it looks like for no reason. But looking at all of the video, police say that a man was throwing large rocks at the security officer and injuring him. After several warnings, the security officer, who was armed, pulled his firearm and told the man to get on the ground. The video goes on to show that the man then ran. The security officer did not shoot him. The security officer was not injured. According to police, Justin McDaniel, 27, has been arrested for aggravated assault and assault by deadly weapon and trespassing. Another hospital patient assaulting another security officer, this time in Johnston, Pennsylvania. A man was accused of assaulting a Memorial Medical Center security officer. He was a patient at the time. Police have arrested Martin Joseph Homola, 44, of Townhouse Towers, aggravated assault, simple assault, disorderly conduct, and harassment. According to police, the patient spit in the face of one of the security officers after the security officer was requested to assist medical personnel. The suspect threatened to kill everyone. Police arrested him and took him into the jail, where he clogged up the toilet, and so he was again arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and criminal charges, including institutional vandalism. A security officer in Nashville, Tennessee, tackled a man who destroyed more than $2,000 worth of merchandise at the Broadway Hard Rock Cafe downtown in Nashville. According to police, the man, who appeared to be on drugs, entered the store, began yelling and screaming, vandalizing merchandise, about $2,000, assaulted security. Security chased him outside onto Broadway there and was able to detain him. Police were notified by others in the area of a disturbance, responded, found the 2 security officers struggling with the man. They handcuffed him. He's been arrested. No bond information was released. He's currently being held on multiple charges at the Davidson County Detention Center in Nashville. Police say a Spring, Texas high school student was expelled and arrested for felony after assaulting an employee on campus, including security. It all started Wednesday last week when two students got into a fight. Security and another unidentified employee tried to break it up, and that's when they were assaulted. An off-duty nurse in Austin, Texas, is being credited with saving the life of a security officer. The off-duty nurse, Catherine Verbert, was shopping at the H-E-B grocery store when an altercation occurred in front of her. Deputy Luke Werner, who was working off-duty as a security officer at the time, was called because there was a shoplifting. Police say that during that apprehension, he was stabbed several times in the neck and was bleeding heavily. The off-duty nurse immediately jumped in and began applying pressure and other first aid techniques. She's credited with saving his life. In the ceremony last week, she and the deputy Werner both were recognized by the sheriff's department for bravery, and the nurse recognized as a civilian who quickly acted in life-saving measures. 20 persons, all involving security officers and management of two hotels, caused both hotels to be shut down and threats of arrest. Security from two hotels adjacent to each other in Laguna Beach, California, got into a huge confrontation over territory trespassing claims. It occurred on Tuesday of last week at the Laguna Beach hotels. Police say an altercation occurred between the two security teams. Both were armed with firearms. Police arrived several times to break up the fights. No arrests were made, but they all said they were going to apply for warrants against each other. Sad and tragic news coming out of Jackson, Mississippi. A Jackson, Mississippi police recruit committed suicide at the facility, at the academy. According to Jackson, Mississippi police, the recruit was going through training at the academy on Monday when he committed suicide with his firearm. Hinds County Coroner Sharon Grisham Stewart said that the unnamed recruit did take his own life by gunfire. The recruit's name was not released. Training was suspended at the academy for several days while grief counselors were called in. No one else has any other information about this tragic event. A man in Texas, Lubbock, Texas, has been indicted and accused of shooting a security officer at a supermarket during a shoplifting. On April 15, police responded to the Walmart at 702 West Loop 289 for reports of a theft. But when officers arrived, they began speaking with a security officer and a bystander who stated they saw 26-year-old Louis Cavero take items out of the store without paying. They also believed Cavero had fired a gun while running away from the scene at the security officer. When confronted about this theft, the man ran out the door and pulled a gun. The security officer ran after him and tackled him, and that's when the shooting occurred. And also, police say he also had outstanding warrants. Quick thinking by a security officer saved a child who was choking at a New Windsor, New York school. Police there say Tyreek Johnson, the security agent, noticed a second-grade child, Zaranda McNair, was in trouble while she was eating her lunch in the cafeteria. He quickly jumped into action. He began giving the child immediate first aid, saving her from choking. According to the security agent, he patted her a few times on the back and gave a thrust, and that dislodged the food. Those at the school say he not only did his job, but that he's a hero. Once again, we'll be reaching out, and definitely he'll be part of the good we do. Meridian, Mississippi, they have really had a hard time recruiting police officers, and just this past week, they've hired a private security company to patrol their downtown area business zones and assist police. Pass Security, LLC, was the company selected They will provide security also at events being held downtown and assist police wherever needed. We are seeing this across the country. Security officers patrolling on foot, on bike, in vehicles. We will see this continuing for quite some time to come. An Oak Park, Illinois high school security officer suddenly passed away just hours after leaving work. Authorities there say that he developed pneumonia. The well-liked, well-known security officer was identified as Gene Corner, also known as Tank. The school brought in counselors to assist students because they were that close to him. Funeral arrangements have not been released. A former Omaha public school security officer arrested for sexually assaulting a child, Ronald Powell, 53, was found not guilty in the trial. Police made the arrest, but after a mistrial in 2022, Powell retired, and on a second trial this year, he was found not guilty, acquitted of all charges. No word as to whether or not he will apply for his job back. In Cleveland, Giant Eagle is facing a federal lawsuit in a 2021 shooting. An off-duty Cleveland, Ohio police officer working security was involved in an incident with a shoplifter. Shots were fired. The person was injured, and now he's suing the store, Giant Eagle, which is a grocery store, similar to a Kroger, and the police department. That has gotten many in the community wondering if off-duty police officers should be security officers. A security officer was injured when two shoplifters fled. This happened in Monroe County. Police there say the shoplifting at the Pennsylvania store involved a woman and a man at the Kinsley ShopRite. Security personnel at the ShopRite noticed the man and woman filling a shopping cart and then ditching the store, leaving the store without paying, with a whole shopping cart full of groceries. Security immediately pursued the woman and confronted her. The man returned to the vehicle and then drove the vehicle to where the security officer had the woman detained. A scuffle ensued. Police were notified and was able to make an arrest. According to police in the county there, they arrested Christian McCloskey and Stephen McCloskey. They face charges of aggravated assault, simple assault, harassment, retail theft, and operating a vehicle under a suspended license. Mobile, Alabama, a Garda security employee upset with his supervisor intentionally rammed an armored truck into their office in Mobile. This happened last Sunday. Police say that they were called to the scene with the armored truck still halfway inside the vehicle. The security officer, upset over something that police still do not understand, crashed that vehicle intentionally, damaged two vehicles, and extensively damaged the building there. He fled. Police are looking for him. Charges are coming his way. When you see news happening, contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. You can also go to our social media and read our breaking news at privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com. Check out facebook.com/Private Officer International and twitter.com/Private Officer. We have a lot more of the radio program to bring you, but we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be discussing what's going on.
Who knows what a child will grow up to be? It's one of the coolest things about kids. The unknown, the potential, the chance to do or become whatever they can imagine. But what if something happens during childhood that stops them from reaching that potential? Did you know that preventable injuries are the #1 killer of children in the United States? And around the world, 1 child dies from a preventable injury every 30 seconds. But the important thing to remember about preventable injuries is that they're preventable. We can do something to stop them. Things to make sure kids get the chance to be creative and play. The chance to take chances and explore. The chance to fall down and get back up. Help us give your kids, and every kid, the chance to grow up, reach their potential, and become whatever they can imagine. Learn how at safekids.org.
Human trafficking is slavery.
And it happens all over America.
Any child, any woman, any man could potentially become a victim of human trafficking.
I am a victim of labor trafficking.
I was a victim of child sex trafficking, but now I own my body.
Human trafficking is any kind of forced labor.
It can happen to anybody.
I am a mother.
I am an author.
I am a son.
I'm an advocate.
I am an educator.
I'm a sister.
I am a brother.
I'm so much more than what happened to me.
I am strong.
I am brave.
I am outspoken.
I am compassionate.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor of human trafficking.
I heard about a shooting involving a 3-year-old girl over the summer. My daughter Riley is that age.
There was a point when I felt that I was going to die.
My parents used to always say a bullet doesn't have a name on it.
Someone put a bullet in the back of my 14-year-old son's head.
The gun should never be an option. We're Americans. We don't have to live like this. We can all make a difference.
In the United States, 88 people die of gun violence every day.
We can end gun violence.
As with any profession, there are challenges, bad days and good days, and victories. We have to look at what it is that we can do here in the security profession, the industry that is growing by just huge amounts, and look at what we can do to make it better for our personnel, for our customers, for the community that we serve, and for ourselves. Changes will continue to happen. Whether you want them to or not, it's inevitable. We know that with life. We know that with everything around us. Nothing stays the same. However, the private security business, like others, has been fighting against the change, has been fighting against the advancements, the need for more training, more professional equipment, and customers, clients, continue to fight against paying more money per hour to have better trained and equipped and experienced officers. But I want to leave you with this ray of hope, let's call it. Things are changing. For quite some time, it was ever so slow. But things are changing. We see it because we read so many news articles, more than 3,000 news contacts every day. We hear about it directly from company owners, from POI members, and we ourselves, both as an organization, Private Officer International, and as private businesses that we own, myself and others in the organization, we are the change. And you too can be the change. In the upcoming weeks, we'll be talking about what we hope to accomplish for the rest of the year and how you can get involved, how you can participate. We don't have to riot. We don't have to protest. We don't have to storm any doors. We don't have to do anything illegal to get the message out there. In fact, just the opposite. We should be purveyors and supporters of peace, equality. Change can be done orderly. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about what you've seen in the news and, oh, this one did that and they got away with it and now. Don't worry about all that. We have a mission. We have a job to accomplish, and that is to grow this security industry in such a manner, such a way that is professional, better trained, better equipped, and ready to first protect yourself and then to protect others. We talk often about private policing. I recently introduced you to the Real-Time Crime Center, something that you will be hearing much more about, not only through our radio show and our organization, but in general. You see it in the headlines across the country. Every police department now wants to get on board because they see the value of technology. You'll hear a lot more about how clients are demanding, not asking, demanding security companies provide additional type of services. More and more communities, more and more retail associations, more and more downtown districts are hiring private security to patrol. Some on bike, some in vehicles, some on foot, some armed, some unarmed. We've even seen in the last few months more and more security organizations being required to add canines. I just read a few days ago, Huntsville, Alabama, added at their medical center a canine team. More and more different type of services are being added to current contracts and new contracts with contract security organizations or proprietary in-house. I have a picture of what I believe real advanced security will look like in the next couple of years. Maybe not even the next couple of years, maybe the next couple of months. We're already seeing much of it happening now in certain pockets, mainly major cities. But even in small town USA rural communities, some of the contract security companies are looking more like law enforcement, providing more services like law enforcement, and I believe that's going to continue across the country. That's going to do it for this edition of the Private Officer Beat Radio. Remember, our point of contact always 24 hours a day to report news, to ask a question, or to get involved. Helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Go to our website and join today for $99 if you're not already a member. And please visit our sister company, armorcollege.org. There are many online courses that would aid and assist you. All of those are very reasonable in cost. And if you're a POI member, you get a discount. Thanks for being with us this week. Remember, be blessed, stay safe, and we'll see you back here on the radio.